I'm a little late. Oh well. That's how it be. Let all my freaking stuff catch up here real quick. Not that one. That one. Actually, we'll be using this one tomorrow as well, but like, I kind of want to run this right tonight. So based off of what I said last time, you can probably guess the news as far as what we've all been waiting for. Give me one moment to make sure to... that. Also, I accidentally opened Edge. Like a week ago while I was cleaning up a drive, and ever since then, Edge has freaking decided to boot up on its own. Are you set to automatically on startup? Yes. Turn off. Fuck you. There we go. Alright. You! I just started. You're not supposed to pester me this early. Who do you think you are? Huh? Ratty lady. Up there, you know which desk you lay on. You're not the Rito, you don't get to lay on this desk. As long as you behave yourself, don't go hitting buttons! Swipe at me, you little fuck. Just because I freaking move your ass a little out of my way. I am currently watching a little something off to the side because the flesh creature is doing her birthday debut thing. So I did kind of want to see what the new model looked like. The new model outfit thingy. And it looks very cute. But she appears to be done with that, so let me close that. Let me also refresh my Firefox real quick here. Because it's cooking right now. Because I opened a bunch of shit. I have way too many tabs on there. Let's be honest here. But. In regards to what we've all been freaking keeping an eye on, PC didn't come in. Which is fine. Those that freaking hung out in Tebers yesterday while I was hanging out know that we're getting set up with a new GPU, so that's also going to take a little bit of extra time because that's going to be their payment for working on their model and whatnot. But it does put us in a state where we are no closer to anything. I don't even remember how long ago these freaking these parts came in that we were like, oh yeah, we finally made fucking progress, but it was at least a week ago. Over a week ago. I also have to be more delicate with my Gamersup's cup because where it clamps down, the seal is breaking in that I need to glue it. Like super glue it so that it has a little bit more reinforcement on it. I wonder if there's a way to just like get new lids specifically. Because everything else is perfectly fine on it. It's just that the way that they do the seal for where the little indent bit goes in seems to have a little bit of trouble. Or it's a weak point because it's a seam instead of a solid cast. I mean, I do have a second Juniper cup, so it's not like I'm... If it does just up and, like, snap, then I can swap out cups, to be honest. Or not cups, but I can swap out lids. The cup proper is staying... Like, this is still the use one, that's the display one. And I think this is the only instance that I'll wind up actually freaking buying 2 cups. Because it is my first ever shaker. I think all the others will just wind up being like, I'll buy one for display kind of deal. For ones that I care about, which there's a SKU one out now. Which I may wind up getting. The problem is, and I'm gonna let you peek behind the curtain here. I'm not actually letting you peek behind the curtain, but I'm going to talk about what goes on behind the curtain. I haven't gotten my freaking money from Google yet. And I'm beginning to wonder if I will at all. Because, I mean, when they sent me this letter, they're like, oh yeah, send this letter back, blah, blah, blah. But I just thought that... Hey Miller, thank you for the raid, how are you doing? Hey Nugget, how you doing tonight? Let me do this. For those joining in, I am Nasu, Amaya. I'm an interdimensional archivist VTuber from the world of Syncope, and I'm also an artist. I drew and rigged my own model. That is water, I hope? Tomorrow's actually another art day. Because it's birthday art and it's Tuhu Tuesday, so I am Tuhu-ifying another friend. Roblox? Didn't actually expect to be rated it from Roblox into just chatting. How'd that go, though? See if I can open this without the whole thing breaking. But back on, discussion. Honestly, fair enough. I'm always kind of surprised whenever people find me via that tag. Especially when they're like other creators as well. Rather than, you know, either people that are in for one purpose or another. One purpose being, I'm surprised that you're using this Twitch instead of Blue Twitch. And the other being, oh, how dare you use a feminine-looking model? You should care about my opinion as a random Twitch chatter. Yeah. But Google sent me this, thing about freaking... And I actually was able to log in for the first time ever. It's always nice to find other VTuber friends. And it is a little difficult, especially with, you know, the current environment. Everyone's freaking afraid of making, like, connections with people, and then with every week there's something bad happening, they're afraid of, you know, them being the next one in line to wind up being a victim of that stuff. Which is unfortunate, because I was just, you know... Hey, thanks for the follow, Nugget. I was just getting, you know, back out of my shell after... however long of a hiatus of, you know, focusing on my own stuff. I had made up my entire schedule, I had started freaking organizing stuff, and actually started working on getting my new PC sorted out so that I could actually play games with friends. Which I was kinda hoping that that would be sorted out today. That way I could play Peak with Ray and Tebra later this week. Because I was not having a fantastic frame rate to play it back on Friday. I inhaled a little bit of that tea. But yeah, to catch up on the long and short of the story, I was less than $2 away from getting my first AdSense payout right before Google changed the way that they did AdSense. And by that I mean YouTube in particular, because of all the stuff that was going on in 2020? No. 2017? I don't know. The law, that's unimportant what year. They have sent me one of these letters like every month since then, reminding me that they fucked me over like that, though. Unintentionally. It was a sweeping change. I just happened to be caught by it. I can, however, be a little dramatic just for the sake of being dramatic. But I was finally able to sign back in for the first time in, according to this, 3 years, but I'm 90% sure that that last login date is inaccurate. I mean, I'm not opposed to being friends. Man, thanks for the follow. But they're like, oh, you need to fill out this blah blah blah. But I've looked at the back of it, and they're like, oh yeah, you can only really claim this if it's above 100. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you said before. But if you close your account, it only has to be 10, and then we'll send it to you. So I closed my account because, I mean, on YouTube I'm I'm a little bit of distance away from reaching partner on there again. I get my hours in, but I don't have the followers yet. So I figured I'd just close the AdSense account so that Google stopped pestering me every month, and then I'd also just reapply whenever I get there. That way it's easy. I don't need broken hair tie anymore. Now that I actually have other hair ties that are of a reasonable size. But I haven't received anything. According to their sheet, I was supposed to receive a secondary email saying, oh, are you sure you want to close account? And I said, I never received that, so I assumed, I try looking at the AdSense, it's like, this account's closed. You can look at the balance, blah, blah, blah. Alright, take care, and thanks again for the raid. That's weird. Did person number 2 remove their comment or something? Oh. No, it's a person being a bit of a shitter. Other person did remove theirs, though, which is weird. Yeah, weird. Why did you... Whatever. Back on topic, though. So that's in a weird state, and I don't know, I was hoping that I would just you know, receive it and it would be all fine and dandy and we'd be in the green and we'd be fine. Honestly, at this point, it's been sitting in there for like 8 years. Even if I don't receive it at this point, I don't really care. However, one thing that I do care about is that something did disappear on Twitch's end. Which worries me. And it happened when they did their update where it's like, oh, you can transfer... You can have some of your money held for use on Twitch itself. And it's like, I don't want that. I want to be able to actually use it to buy, you know, groceries and whatnot. Oh, never mind. Bar fixed itself. I don't know when this is going to make its check. Oh, it checked on August 10th. You're supposed to check on You're supposed to check on the 12th of every month. What the fuck is wrong with you? Either way. I guess that's held off by 20 cents until next month. Not that that matters as much. I'm just glad that a whole 20 extra was not lost. Because that would mean that due to the ineptitude of corporations, I would be out $115 effectively. Which is, you know, potential for a new power supply. If I need that after we get, you know, our new GPU. But we're in the clear. We're green, we're golden. Some other third color that means good. I don't have to stress about it. I have had to tell a few people that I'm holding off on commissions, though. Due to... Once I finish current commission, I'm going to be working on new outfit. Not new outfit, but like new model, because we're doing like effectively a new design. For Halloween. Which I need to figure out when I want to finish up Deponia. And by that I mean Deponia may just be one of those things that winds up getting put on hold over and over again, because if it's hot like it is today, by the time it's time for stream, my brain is liquid. Liquid. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know, I got told that Deponia Doomsday is not as great as the others, and I don't know, I'm not... I'm not as engaged with it, I guess, is the best way to put it. As is probably evident from the fact that I'm not, like, continuing through, like... The story came to its conclusion. For all intents and purposes. Rufus, once again, let his conscience take over just before he achieved his goal, and it was, like, the perfect bookend to how he's been. He is a greedy, selfish epitome of, point-and-click adventure protagonist asshole that only probably gets beaten by Halligan just because Mystery of the Druids holds itself to a more realistic tone. But he is like a perfect point-and-click protagonist. And his ending, every single time he had nearly reached his goal, his conscience got the better of him. As early as the first game, he could have stayed hidden, continued along, and freaking probably made it around in the first game. Knocks goal out. I mean, he did bad, but, like, you know. He could have let Goal just take him up to the freaking Elysium when he originally fried her brain. He didn't. He could have just gone with, what was it? Freaking Prim and Proper Goal, I think is what the one it was. Yeah. He could have just gone with her. When she originally said, oh, Deponia's just going to get blown up. There is no way to save both. Every single time. Simply saved due to his conscience. And in the end, he could have said, oh yeah, I'm Cletus, blah blah blah. Or no, I'm Rufus, actually. He actually just flat out lied about who he was. And then dropped, and he could have just said who he was. Gone up to Elysium, it would have been fine. But he decided to freaking... So the ending of Goodbye Deponia was like the perfect bookend to his story, right? And then we have Deponia Doomsday. And it starts off with an interesting mystery as to how, firstly, how did Rufus survive? Secondly, how did everything get the way that it did? But as we are right now, it feels like it's just the game is self-contained and doesn't need to exist. And maybe Rufus sacrifices himself again and makes it worthless. It could be like a completely freaking pointless game in the end. I don't know. But, like, In our current timeline, why are you losing it? In our current timeline, we have created one of the problems that leads to the problems of the future that we ran into, which implies that the entire thing straight through is going to be us accidentally creating the timeline that we wound up with at the end. So, I don't know. If that's what winds up happening, then I don't know. Where we're at currently, I don't feel that drive to power through and like see where everything goes. The story is over. We're still following the same characters, but the story ended. We are on a divergence. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Why, did you find a hat like that? Or did someone make a hat like that, I guess I should ask? I should finish up Deponia Doomsday, though, solely for the fact that I really don't want to have something I'm, like, in the middle of when I transfer computers. Especially something that's on my E drive, which is where that's at. Which, by the way, the E drive is already acting up again. Who did what now? That sounds like a very particular thing that happened in order to freaking spark that again. But yeah, I don't know. The weird thing is that it could be any number of things, knowing how portions of our circle are. In order to, you know, lead to that conclusion. Even with what... Just realized that. I don't think that I'll even remember to stay curious on it for more than, like, 20 minutes, I'm gonna be honest. Especially because, honestly, fucking what's it matter anyway? Whether you freaking give us the big sphere or the small sphere, freaking... So much bullshit that happens anymore that... What's it matter? I mean, for Christ's sake, I saw freaking stuff just earlier today that... Like I mentioned to Crack, a freaking... If my little situation is the worst I ever have to deal with, that's fine by me. Bots are really bad today. Ugh. I just really, really, really wish that I could get my shit sorted. Ugh. And then fucking dealing with... Ugh. Brain is suddenly not happy, and I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but suddenly a little prickle of irritation springed up in there. Either way, back to the topic of Deponia. I mean, I guess I should have expected to some degree that it was going to be less engaging simply due to what Candy said after we finished Goodbye Deponia. Is that freaking there's not a fourth Deponia game, ha ha ha. And I don't know, dude. I think that basically revealing your hand that the timeline is cyclical, and even if we have convergence with the original timeline, we're going to have some issues, but like we wind up with that one paradox that, you know, every fucking every other goddamn time travel movie or whatever show does. It's like a 50% rate of it where it's like, oh, hey, we did this thing that we came back for, and we came back in the future because of this thing, and then caused it to happen, and the paradox is what caused it to happen in the first place, or what caused the first portion of us to go back into the past. The only... I don't know, even that one's a bit weird. I was gonna say that the only one that seems to have done it, like, somewhat reasonably is Futurama, because it's like a pure accident kind of deal. But it has its own time travel thing, like freaking Fry is intentionally dropped into the freezer. Who originally dropped him into the freezer? Freaking, they go back in time during the Roswell episode because he's the one that does the popcorn at the same time and becomes his own grandfather, but how did he get born in the first timeline, if so? I don't know. It's like the most common goddamn paradox, and no one even acknowledges it because... whatever. And Deponia Doomsday just kind of seems to be using that as its entire focal point. Rufus is creating the problems that Rufus dreams about and then goes back to fix. Like, the only part of it so far that doesn't rely on that entire freaking paradox is the first part. Because they openly state with the glasses, with the pile of glasses that freaking Tony had, the original thing that happened is Rufus was just fucking stupid and broke them while moving them. And then when he goes to actually do the right way of doing it, freaking everyone else starts fucking him over and, you know, intentionally ruining things. I don't know. It's... Unless it's got something else to it, I feel like it revealed its hand way too early for me to really have a lot of engagement to it. But I mean, how do you exactly... How do you exactly do any of the rest of it without revealing your hand partially? Because part of the mystery is how did freaking things get the way that they did when in the prologue? But like, even in just this third area, technically, we've already basically been told, hey, the major thing that happened is Rufus's fault. So either we've got convergent timelines or of some sort, which make no sense. We're in a separate timeline, which means that none of the original story matters. Because Rufus follows a different freaking trajectory now. And then... I mean, none of it matters if, like, just based off of that alone. It's a cyclical timeline in that case. But it has no bearing on the original. And then if it has bearing on the original, then it makes 0 sense. Because none of this shit happened, like, in the middle of it. Elysium is still perfectly fine by the end of Goodbye Deponia. Elysium is fucked over before Goal even gets down to Deponia in the Doomsday timeline. There is no way that it works with itself. And I don't know. It's kind of in a state as a result of that, where it kind of falls into... prequel territory. The only... Oh, we're in ad break. Give me a moment. I really do have to pee, so... I think the worst thing about the whole thing... Oops, not that. Is I have no idea what answer there would be. Because I know that, like, you know, there's the obvious, usual question of, oh, if you think that it's so bad, why don't you come up with a better one? And it's like... I don't know how you solve that. My answer is don't make the fourth game, I guess, but like... I don't know. Because, like, the puzzles and whatnot I don't think are, like, bad. I just... When it comes to the story, I can't really find a direction that it goes that I'm terribly engaged. And I'm a world builder, not a freaking writer, right? I'd like to one day, like, try writing an actual story, but I haven't written an actual story since I was... eighth grade? I think I was a freshman in high school when I last wrote anything, and that was... derivative, edgy schlock. I mean, I guess I did write a few, like, neat little things in my freshman year for, like, English class, but none of them were exactly, like, much. Those were, like, glorified journal entry kind of deals in most cases. So, I don't know. There is... yeah, I don't know how, like, I could think of that I would adjust the story. Like, with what pieces we have on the table currently, I don't know how it goes in a way that I really care. And as bad as that is to say, like, that's the only way I know how to describe it, is... it's flat out, I don't know if I care how things progress from here. Like, for the other 3 games, I wanted to know where the story was going. I wanted to know, like... how things progressed with Gold. How Rufus, you know, solved X, Y, or Z. What happens to Deponia? We've seen how Deponia is at the end of the current timeline for the game that we're playing, for Doomsday. And we're the cause of it becoming like that, apparently. Because, I mean... what else do we do? I mean, I'll finish the game, obviously. It's just one of those things where, like, I don't feel that driving force in my brain that goes, I want to know how things progress. Like, obviously, I streamed for 12 hours the other day. Or, like, a couple weeks back for Chaos on Deponia. No, Goodbye Deponia. Where we ran, like, the entire game in one go. I think we also did long streams for Chaos on Deponia, but, like, I wanted to know how things progressed. This isn't even, like, a... I think that the only game that I can think of that's, like, a prequel that... there's 2. No. Is that a prequel? I think The Hobbit came out before Lord of the Rings, so never mind. But Red Dead 2 is a prequel, and it does it relatively well because you want to know how things in the current events are going. And, like, you know how things are going to end to a certain degree. But you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle aside from these characters are either going to die or leave by the end of this. The only downside about it really is that they don't freaking go into the main question everyone had: what the fuck happened on that ferry? Which, I mean, I guess will probably never get answered. Unless Red Dead 3, whenever it comes out, decides that's where it's going to end in the timeline. And I guess you play as one of the characters that dies as a result of that or something. But prequels do kind of, like, have that kind of thing going on. You know how things end. So you have to have something else. You have to have something else as a driving force for them, right? And I'm not even gonna freaking, like, get into, like, watching a group of movies, like, out of order or anything, because that's not freaking the prequel problem, right? I'm labeling it the prequel problem as if it's like freaking, oh, prequel's bad, blah blah blah, but, like, I mean the difficulty with writing prequels, right? Writing prequels and getting people to care about them, I should say. Because there's a difference between here's a self-contained story that just happens to happen in the past of this, and I guess one of the, like, a few of the worst examples, I guess. Doomsday might actually be one of the worst examples because it's pseudo prequel, but not prequel. It's in a divergent timeline that we know how things end, but we're the reason it happens, and we already know by chapter 2 that we're the cause of it. Out of however many chapters. Like, the good end is we just wind up with the same status quo that we ended Goodbye Deponia with, right? The only thing I really care about is why Goal thinks that it's freaking Rufus's fault. You were selfish. That's why you freaking died. you died and sacrificed yourself because you're selfish. It's like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, there is no... Unless there is a different... I mean, obviously we're in a different timeline. That's probably the answer, is... It has nothing to do with that. We're gonna find a reveal in, like, chapter 5 or something like that of... Oh yeah, by the way, the sacrifice was that he freaking... I don't know, dropped into the reactor because the other option was him being put back on Deponia, so that's what caused Elysium to fall because its reactor blew up or whatever. But I think that they outright freaking mentioned that it was the sacrifice on the freaking transport boat thing. So fuck if I know, dude. Because, like, I don't know, right? Where do we even go from where we're at? It's not like any of the others that we've done. Like, even when it comes to the other Daedalic game, where we're, like, kinda unrelated from the previous, right? Playing Harvey's New Eyes, we're playing as a different character. And we actually care about what happens with that character. Rather than just... And there's like an actual adventure going on rather than fucking... We're doing the exact... We're drinking... I don't know. There's just no hook for me, I guess, now that I know that the story seems to be saying that we're in a cyclical timeline and we're the reason that things are shit in the prologue and X, Y, and Z. But what do, you know? The spot on my neck that's bugging me. I do want to work a little bit on a few things, though. Like, throughout this week. That's part of why I wanted to just kind of yap, is I also wanted to, you know, end stream at a reasonable time. Rather than going until like 3 a.m. doing Deponia or something. So we'll figure out what we wind up doing in regards to that, I guess. Hey Desktop, how you doing tonight? Because I got distracted with several things yesterday and didn't wind up doing my editing like I intended to. Now that the heat's finally starting to subside for the day, better. We've just been yapping about some problems with Deponia Doomsday. And how it kind of has already, as of Chapter 3, kind of stuck its story in a hole that kills most of the driving factor of any of it. Because it's already revealed its hand of we're the reason why things are the way they are in the prologue, but there is no way for the current timeline to be associated in any way with the main timeline. Aside from the fact that the characters exist. So, I don't know. I have no idea. The problem is that it might freaking... wind up with a couple chapters that are more annoying than, like, the big chapter of Goodbye Deponia. According to How Long to Beat, it's 11 hours long. And we've done how many hours of it so far? We're 6 hours in. I feel as if my amount of time that I've spent in it so far is either inflated or the main mechanic that they're implying of the game is not nearly as a mechanic as they implied. I mean, I guess implied is a strong word because I'm only going off of the achievement's description, but still. But I feel like I spent longer than how long to beat expects in the last bit that I did, so I don't know. Let's lean more toward the 14 hours side. Say we got 8 hours left. Especially because Doomsday seems to want a lot more of do this in this specific order rather than just put all the pieces of the puzzle together. I don't know what I have planned after Deponia Doomsday. Deponia was a long line of games that was mostly going off the assumption that, you know, I mean, it was a requirement because of how my computer was behaving at the time. And it was going off the assumption that Plan A for the PC would have been done by now. Meanwhile, we're in Plan C right now. And communication is broken down on all angles. By that I mean freaking... getting any information from Nami or trying to... I don't know. Half the time I'm dono walling toward freaking Nami. Took me 12 times of asking in order to figure out what we were working with. It feels as if she didn't even notice that I freaking... where we are on parts that we have so far. I don't know. Teber seemed to be just shooting for the moon and just going with the 50-60. Since it's only slightly... it's like a $10 difference between the 2060 and the 50-60. So might as well just fuck it and jump up. But again, at this point, I'm not counting anything as set in stone until it's in my hands. Because it's been, what, 3 months since this should have all been done and dusted? 2 months since we got told, oh, this all got fucked over. We're never gonna freaking hear about that PC again, whoever it is. I hope you enjoy your $1,500 or how much ever you can freaking make off the parts. Fuck you. I'll be lucky if I ever actually get. We'll be lucky if we ever get the actual insurance money back that we actually deserve. Rather than just $300 and I'm sorry for your loss. Which I'm not holding my breath on because it's an American insurance company. And who fucking knows on anything past that, because why even bother thinking about that considering that requires 2 other things prior to go right. So what do you do? We're reaching that point that I reached with the D&D dungeon that we were doing, where I just want to freaking, I don't even care what the outcome is at this point. I just want to be fucking done with this freaking non-existent updates every fucking week. We went from the original plan of a $1,500 rig that would have had me at least in a very good state. I didn't even say passable state. A very good state until it would have been 1,200. I mean, 1,500 was what we wound up with, what it was going to be at the end, because that's what Nami was going to send me. My goal was 1,200. We went from that to we just need to freaking get something that isn't going to explode before the end of the year. Let's do a little quick math here. We'll round up for each part of this. That's not the button I wanted to hit. That shouldn't even be on my freaking... Close that. Get rid of that. I'm glad to see 90% AI on this accidental open. Now let me actually hit my fucking calculator this time. Plus 74. Assuming that I don't have to purchase another PSU or anything. We've gone from 1,200 to less than 400 as far as what we're spending and scrounged parts. We've gone from I don't have to worry about upgrading for probably another decade to my computer isn't going to explode during just chatting. I think it's a 30% increase from what the current one is, which means that we're definitely not gonna be playing any Battlefield. It'll be a long time before I'm not pissed about that thievery. Doubly so because it wound up... I still feel bad about freaking... like, the amount of help that you've been offering, you know? Because we should not have gotten to the point where you needed to freaking spend extra money just to get me into a passable state. Everything should have been covered, and all the money that had been gathered from the other parts of the freaking marathon. We should have been fine. I mean, you say it's fine. I don't think it's fine, is the thing. I mean, it's like some fans will freaking say, oh yeah, it's fine on freaking, like, merch stuff for VShojo, right? But it doesn't change the fact that, like, it's support and care from, like, friends and community and whatnot that just got eaten by the ether. Because portions out of our control were shit. I don't know. It's just frustrating. I don't know. I'm gonna take my break a bit early. I really have to pee and get water. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Need to be on that, not on... I mean, I wound up hitting freaking 5 anyway, which was still my BRB. But that would have been wrong anyway, because I don't want to be on 2, I want to be on 1. Anyway, where were we? Thanks for the welcome back. I'm not entirely sure how long I'll wind up running, to be honest. I did kind of want tonight to be a bit shorter so I could work on stuff. I was, like, half tempted to freaking Green Goblin. And then I got freaking sidetracked with brain spikes. For lack of a better way to put it. I also kind of, to a certain degree, got distracted, by talking about Deponia and just my mental freaking stance on it. And why we haven't finished it after 2 streams. And haven't finished it after starting it like 4 weeks ago. When all the other ones were finished like the same week that we started them. And I did them in like 2 sessions, or 1 session in one case, because I was stupid and foolish and... thought that it would be like the others where the first chapters were going to be the long ones, and then the following chapters would have been the short segment. And then chapter 3 winds up being the longest on Goodbye Deponia. What was the chapter 4? After we got split up is the thing. Chapter 4. Chapter 1 was... Chapter 3? Chapter 1 was opening. With the hotel. Don't count the... Then there was the prologue, chapter 1, chapter 2 was on the ship, chapter 3 was in purgatory, for lack of a better term, and then chapter 4 was split personality. The Tale of Three Rufuses. Which was the really long one. I guess I should have probably taken a... But all those chapters together took like 2.5, 3 hours. So I was like, alright, we'll just freaking continue. And then we just wound up finishing the game. Ran for freaking 12 hours as a result. Just so much waiting. Because we're halfway through already, pretty much. August. On something that should have been solved in, like, May. I've gained and lost friendships. Freaking... I have grown exponentially on every platform. I have made upgrades to my models. I have dipped my toes into React shit. I have resumed working out and found capability to work out in the goddamn summer. I have freaking reset and updated all of my freaking advertising shit. I've created a channel trailer in both portrait and landscape. I have witnessed the destruction of an entire company. And multiple individuals. In the time that I have been waiting to not have my PC explode once a week. I've learned 3D modeling. I have updated my 3D model. I have I have expanded my tool belt of art capabilities. I have updated my VGen. I have updated my pricing guide. I have I've done so many things in the actual time frame for something that should have taken, according to predictions, less than 4 months. Granted, we also thought that we'd be freaking good chunk further into our D&D campaign as well. And it took us like 3 months to get through that dungeon that we were in. The dungeon was intended to be done in 3 sessions max. It took 3 months. This is another one of those cases where I just want to be free, dude. I just want to do cool shit. I do need to look into a few things, though. I need to take the opportunity to freaking clear out some tabs as well once I'm done with editing tonight. Do editing while that's rendering freaking run through the repertoire of hygiene stuff. Hey Bill, how you doing tonight? And then hopefully get through at least base colors on the commission. And then maybe we'll get sketch done for Shino's art, which we'll be working on tomorrow. A good question, actually, on how I am. It has certainly been a night thus far. The only real positive note, I guess, currently is it has cooled off since I started streaming a bit. Just wound up covering a bunch of shit that just to give a little bit of self-perspective on how pear-shaped some plans have gone. I actually was kind of hoping that I wasn't streaming tonight, because that meant that I would be assembling a computer. But I, in my infinite wisdom, said it out loud at one point, and dared to have a little optimism rather than following my own self-given rule of until it's in my hands, it does not exist. At least when it comes to the PC build, anyway. Other things at the very least, freaking... I can have some faith in. The gods... The gods don't seem to be punishing me for my hubris and, you know... buying freaking... a luxury or two. Oh, you're training to be an EMT? Nice. I wish you luck on the classes. My tomorrow, I'm... Am I debating if I want to stream, to be honest? I may just work on art off stream, to be honest. I guess it kind of depends on how I'm feeling by the time we get there. What do you mean you don't feel like you have enough enough stuff to bring? Unless you mean it's just like in relation to the fact that you don't feel like the packets have enough. I mean, normally packets are just reference material rather than actual stuff. It's normally, you know, drilling and training. That way you actually have the genuine experience in order to be able to work off of that. I mean, like I said, they're mostly going to, like, drill you and whatnot. It's like anything else that is, like, especially under stressful situations, they want to have you being able to second nature it effectively by the end of it. Reading materials are nice and all, but No, CPR is a relatively basic thing. I'm not certified, but I know enough of it to, you know, get by. But it's kind of like one of the base things that anyone that has a potential to have to deal with it, like babysitters will get CPR certified, lifeguards obviously get CPR certified, anyone in fire rescue will get CPR certified. I think that depending on where you are, security personnel get CPR certified. It's basically one of the, like, big basic ones that, like, anyone that has any kind of things gets certified on. So it's not, like, bad. Ugh. You ain't heart massaging them. Oh, Lord, though. Freaking... It's a lot of stuff, dude. I mean... depending on the scenario, you don't really have to be, like, professional. I don't know, like, if it's workshop style or if it is like sitting in classes kind of deal. Because if it's workshop style, then you should be fine anyway. It's not like you're freaking office jobbing or anything. I don't know. I don't remember the last time I had to do anything like professional, you know? I mean, I kinda do, I guess. There is... Speaking back to freaking old boss, like, we go through, like, once every freaking yapping stream. You know, freaking... We're doing convention-style shows, and he's like, oh, we gotta be professional, we gotta freaking... you gotta do X, Y, and Z, otherwise it's gonna look bad, and it's like... I mean, I get, like, don't shit-talk other performers, like, that's a basic thing. But, like... I don't feel as if I need to... You know... treat it like I'm... I don't even know what he freaking... Like, I don't even know what the parameters were for professional half the time. Because it's like... Oh, I can do X, Y, and Z, but I can't do A, B, and C. And it's like... Why? Never explained. Can do this for shits and gigs, can't do this for shits and gigs. And, like, A and B here, in this instance, like, aren't even that far off. Like, I could get if we're, like... supposed to be in... like, setting A, and shits and gigs thing is wear attire from setting B, right? Like, it'd be a bit weird if someone freaking was on the bridge in Star Trek and they were wearing, like, costuming from Kingdom of Heaven or something. But, like, it wouldn't even be that kind of thing. And there wasn't even, like, the mutual, like... I don't know. In certain circumstances, it was like a we gotta be better than... we gotta be better than everyone kind of deal. In some... like, for some rules. Which was... kind of dumb. Like, we can get personally attacked and freaking X, Y, and Z... but if we so much as, you know, say, I don't really like these individuals, then we're not freaking... we've crossed the line or whatever. We're not being professional enough if we, like, privately voice some complaints amongst ourselves. Meanwhile, they will publicly just freaking start talking shit or something like that. And it's like, listen, if they're going to disrespect us publicly, I think we can at least have a little bit of time to fucking vent backstage, right? I don't have to play holier than thou. We're both freaking... we're both working here, dude. I can say that Tom's being a dick next to the water cooler if Tom's going and freaking saying that something completely unrelated to him that I happen to be doing is ruining every single one of his projects to everyone else in the office. Like, I'm sorry, just because we have cubicles, like, next to each other does not mean that I'm walking across and shitting in your photocopier or whatever. And obviously, like, you know, analogy rather than actual thing. I've never worked in a genuine office, but like we performed like right next to each other. And they'd say that like certain things that we did would freaking ruin all of their freaking prep work or something like that. But freaking like I vent a little bit about how they're kind of dicks, and it's like, you can't say that. We gotta be professionals, and it's like, listen, as long as I'm not like sitting out in the crowd saying, "Oh, those guys, man, I really fucking wish that they wouldn't verbally assault us backstage constantly." As long as I'm not doing that, then please, it doesn't matter. If there's someone backstage that, like, it matters to, they shouldn't be backstage. Aside from the people that are already freaking verbally assaulting us once a week. They already hate us. Me calling them dicks amongst ourselves is not gonna change anything. I don't know, dude. And that's not even talking about freaking... I don't know. That's the thing, right? Is like the previous place that we were freaking doing, like, no, not earlier that year. We didn't do... The year before, is we had people that were outright freaking breaking into our shit and, like, being genuine thieves. And, like, we were allowed to freaking vent about that. I mean, I guess that we weren't getting, like, paid for that job, so I guess the professionalism's off for that? I don't know. I don't know. It's not stuff that I have to worry about anymore. Not my fucking job now. Granted, I guess that if I were to get complained about saying, hey, this is kind of dickish that they're literally stealing stuff from us, it would have been some major hypocrisy because freaking my boss at the time was also saying those guys are unprofessional assholes constantly, so whatever. Maybe it was just the fact that he had self-awareness not to talk shit about people that... Or that he had the self-awareness not to freaking tell us not to talk shit while he was also talking shit. Also, they were literally thieving. They were literally stealing shit. Like, that's not even a freaking minor spat at that point. That's a fucking crime that they're committing against you, right? Like, you can freaking call each other assholes, like, all you want. It's just verbal freaking shit-flinging at that point. When it's an actual fucking crime, though, that's another matter. Its entirety. That's what happens when you freaking just choose people specifically because they're rough assholes. Like, I knew some of the people that freaking, and like, not all of them were bad, obviously. Oddly enough, it was the ones that I met through that weren't bad. The ones that I knew before that freaking group of performances, I knew were assholes beforehand. I was like, this isn't gonna go well at all. I mean, I know that you're, like, looking for them because they're dicks. So, like, that part's gonna go fine. But they cannot work with other people at all. And, well, guess who was right? The person that knew them. I mean, I wasn't Big Boss Man, so I didn't really say anything, but I just knew. I knew. Because I'd have gone to school with some of those assholes. And I was like, yep. They'll be a good fit because they're gonna be dicks to people that they're supposed to be dicks to, but they are not gonna be good as far as keeping any fucking professionalism here and working together with any of the others that you're hiring. Granted, I wasn't there for the really, really bad year. Apparently the following year just was, like, bad. On both ends of the spectrum. Like, even customers were freaking being dicks and freaking being vile individuals. Which, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Most of them are drunk. You've got freaking teenagers that were freaking signed off on by their freaking mom or whatever that didn't want to fucking deal with them. You know, despite the fact that it's an 18+ venue. Like, the mom would freaking walk in with them so that they freaking were allowed, quote unquote, and then walk off, like, walk back out, freaking get stamped and go do fuck off whatever else. And as you would expect, freaking that didn't go well at all. The kids were absolute shitters 90% of the time, as if they had that kind of parent that freaking brought them along. Um, fucking so much other shit that just I only heard like secondhand, but like there were people that would get backstage, just zero security for that. COVID season, that was like year of COVID too, freaking so. I don't know how it passed the health clearance. I guess they just said we swear we'll do it because there were not freaking like 90% of the requirements that were required for that did not fucking happen. Which is why I didn't fucking work there for that. Right. Because I really didn't want to freaking wind up being bedridden for 2+ weeks with COVID. So to a certain degree, I guess, though, I do have, like, some nostalgia for that venue. Because I didn't get, like, the really bad year. I had the year that was fun, and that... I had some, italicized freaky individuals that decided to, like, show up for my, my little venture. Like, I still had, like, some good notes in my brain for it. Unfortunately, like, everyone else just freaking... Even other people that didn't, like, directly interact were doing behind-the-scenes stuff. Because they were, like, our bosses and whatnot. So they just wound up pulling, They were doing all that behind-the-scenes stuff, which is important. But... I'm, like, the only person that doesn't have that freaking trauma from year 2 on that. So, like, I get in my brain occasionally, and I'll be like, man, I kind of do miss working there. And then I remember all the shit that happened, and that the side that I'd be on, I'd be getting shat on, metaphorically. And depending on if you consider shit being thrown at you potentially literally. So, I'm like, as nice as it was, I don't think so ever again. Not for there. And that was like 6 years ago at this point. It'll be 6 years ago once, you know, October rolls around. September, October region rolls around. I don't remember when we would start. But a long time ago. I do remember I went to, like, what was it, TwitchCon? Either TwitchCon or PAX. We weren't there for a week, and they're like, oh, fuck, we missed you. You do your job way too fucking well, and we cannot do that. And, like, I mean, it's due to the voices shit, right? Because I was able to freaking... It was, I mean, partially what freaking got me into where I would later wind up being, right? Because I could put on voices and whatnot for what I was doing. And that's what benefited me for being able to get into, you know, VA stuff later. I was also very small, like, scrawny. I'm average height, but I'm like I was very scrawny at the time. I don't know if I'd consider myself scrawny right now. My freaking midsection bulked out due to other stuff. And especially due to, like, COVID causing being inside as much as I wound up being for, like, a few years. And I never got really around to, solving that problem. My arms and whatnot are still on the scrawny side, though, which is very weird to notice. And my legs are beefy because I do squats like mad. It's like my freaking... I don't know. A lot of people hate leg day. I kind of enjoy doing squats to a certain degree. I don't know what in particular it is about leg day that people tend to hate, but I don't hate working on my legs. Aside from, you know, the usual thing of, thanks for the 25 desktop. I also need to... I mean, I'm assuming if that went through that I haven't been hit by it, but I do need to keep an eye on my freaking PayPal. Because PayPal has gotten even more angry in recent time regarding artists due to the whole censorship collective shout bullshit that's been going on. PayPal is already freaking similar to Patreon, where they're like, oh, well, we'll freaking... You better not freaking draw any titties, otherwise we're gonna wind up, breaking your kneecaps. No idea why I put on the Mickey Mouse voice for that, but it might as well be the same thing. That's why I got rid of my Patreon. I need to look into my Subscribe Star again, because I freaking... I made one of those, and then I kinda... started using it less. And by that I mean I forgot the login info, I think. I don't know. When it comes to that, I need to... decide what route I'm gonna go, I guess, to a certain degree. Because there's also... I call it Blue Twitch, but it does have, like, other options aside from, like, the streaming angle. I don't know what's the most... I mean, I guess for the current commission, freaking... Not Blue Twitch, that's for sure. Because they don't freaking allow, X, Y, and Z. And the commission is furry. But I don't know. Paper Rose was streaming on an art-focused site a week or so ago that I don't remember the name of off the top of my head, but it could wind up being decent because I think it allows for streaming not safe for work art, similar to Picardo. So I don't know. Freaking someone was playing a really risky game yesterday. I forget who it was, but someone raided... I was watching one artist who raided into another artist that I followed, so I stayed on. Who raided into another artist that I follow. I think it was, a halfie. I don't know how to exactly pronounce the way their name is, but they're a string of letters, effectively. But I think it was them, and they were doing a mermaid, but like the shells for the bra were not exactly large. They were basically just pasties, which I feel like is a risky thing to do on like Twitch, right? Considering how angry Twitch likes to get about art and whatnot. Especially when it's VTuber related. I really have to pee. I will be right back. Either way. Let me look. Go here. Let me... H... B... There we go. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't understand putting on, like, the whole facade of professionalism. Like, especially when it's outright a facade, right? And especially when it gains zero benefit in the grand scheme of things. Like, the only thing it was in the end, in the particular instance I was talking about, was a detriment. Because at the end of the day, what happened was they were able to verbally abuse us to others and verbally abuse us to our faces. And we weren't even allowed to freaking speak negatively about them at all. Even after it got to a point where they were confirmed to not be coming back because they couldn't even stop themselves from talking shit about customers, right? They're not coming back. Freaking, they're blacklisted from the entire state, effectively, from performing due to their behavior. But we're still not allowed to even vent about the fact that they verbally assaulted 2 of our freaking members. Privately vent at that. Because it's not professional. It's one thing if we're going to, like, Big Boss Man, freaking owner of the entire place, and freaking being like, oh man, those guys are kinda assholes. Really wish that they wouldn't fucking do this. Because, I mean, at that point, A, we're just pestering Big Boss Man for no reason at all. For personal gripes, right? B, probably already knows it. And C, it's a big fucking venue. Like, doesn't have the... Why would we go and just pester him constantly about it? He's got enough stuff on his plate. And God, did I fucking... I already knew that it was a lot. I learned even more that it was a lot when a good friend of mine had to pick up because he got into, like... I think it was due to saying that he was cutting the contract with the others. Because it happened around the same time that they were, like, confirmed that they were just blacklisted, right? But I remember around that time, second in command, who was a friend of mine, wound up having to pick up so much stuff while still doing freaking, like, performance stuff. I don't know for sure if that was, like, legal related stuff, but he was freaking Big Boss Man was around, but, like, not able to work on stuff for some reason. And I'm pretty sure that he's still, like, Big Boss Man there, so my assumption is that everything went fine. Then again, Friend did wind up, like, does still have to freaking do a lot of stuff, because last time I was there, a year or two ago, he was darting around about the same amount that I remember him doing when he was having to play Big Boss Man. I was able to get a, hey, how's it going, bud? And it's like, oh, it's doing great, gotta go. It's like, yeah, that checks out. It's unfortunate, but, you know. I know how that shit has to be. Like, sometimes you just... It's unfortunate I didn't get to talk with him, like, at all during that, but... I mean... You can't just freaking stand around and talk all day with friends when you've got, you know, a job to do. It's like, you know, like what everyone freaking says every time there's a convention going on. Any VTuber that's got freaking meet and greets and whatnot to do, they're like, hey, if you see me, and I'm not, like, rushing around, then fine. If I'm rushing, though, I've probably got a panel to get to, and I can't talk. I'm sorry. I apologize, but I can't. And especially because, like... Especially when it comes to... like, how grateful some of them are for, like, their fans. They don't want to walk away. Like, I know that Numi mentioned Lily in particular for, like, one of them, where she had to constantly go, we gotta get to your panel, we gotta get to your meet and greet, we gotta get to X, Y, and Z, because she always wanted to, like, stop and, like, talk with her fans, because, I mean, that's the thing, right? When we're this kind of entertainer, without, you know, fans, community, XYZ, we don't have a job, we don't have a platform, we don't have what we are currently. Without you guys, I'm not Nasu VTuber, I'm Nasu Amaya Arts. I mean, I still have, like, freaking, you know, self-employed things that I do. But I am not Nasu VTuber if I don't have, you know, the streaming aspect, right? Lily is not Shy Lily VTuber without freaking the streaming aspect. So she wants to be, like, appreciative of everyone that allows her to do this and to like make her father proud, which is what she mentions semi-frequently, similar to like I do with Mom, right? Without freaking the VTubing aspect, she's still like partial owner of X, Y, or Z company and whatnot, and whatever other job she might have. Right. But without you guys, freaking, I mean, the VTuber isn't really VTuber. We are not entertainers if we are not, you know, entertaining two people, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't like the word influencer. It's technically a word that could be used, but, like, I don't like it. Because it's mostly used by assholes who think that they're haughtier and toddier than themselves, and even if that reputation for it has changed, I still freaking have a lot of 2016 freaking brain bits. So I still go, oh, I don't want to do React. I freaking fuck. I don't want to do React because of, you know, 2016 reputation for React. I don't want to be called an influencer because of 2016 reputation of the term influencer. And, like, obviously, as we freaking all know, at least when it comes to the former, I'll still do it because I do enjoy it. Actually, freaking doing it is kind of fun, and it allows me to just like yap about something that caught my attention and I find interesting. Because obviously, like, I enjoy Fallout, for instance, as something that was what was sort of a plan for tonight that didn't wind up happening. But, like, the only way I talk about it is if I'm playing the game, right? But if I'm, like, watching one of, like, say one of the videos that I've been watching the past few days. Or, well, I was watching last night, I guess. Not even the last few days. Because I was watching it while I was, working on the flesh creature, and then a little bit while I was playing Stardew with Ray. But yeah, I don't think, though, that I will ever refer to myself as an influencer, even if I freaking, like, actually do influence people to, like, freaking buy something or something. I still genuinely hate that word. Mostly because it is still used by, you know, hotty-toddy assholes who have no idea freaking what it's like to be a decent human being. And that's not like to say that everyone that uses it is, it's just that there are a lot of people that do that are, right? Because obviously, like, some people use it, like, as a general. But a lot of people will call themselves, like, oh, I'm a streamer. Oh, I'm freaking a YouTuber. Oh, I'm fucking... I don't know what else to exactly freaking... I don't know, an esports gamer? I don't know. But the point is that, like, it's not, like, exclusive to that kind of people anymore, but there are some people that use exclusively that term, and they are those kind of assholes. And they are still those kind of assholes, because they've shown that they've not changed at all over the years. But what do you do, you know? But I do genuinely, I have been kind of enjoying, like, the Green Goblin days. I'll still refer to it as Green Goblin days. Some people call it React Andy, some people call it, like, freaking media share or whatever. I just like using my, you know, terminology for it because I just find it a little amusing to call it that to a certain degree, I guess. And you know, it's always nice to add your like own little spin to certain things. Just for shits and gigs for the community or whatever. I hate to refer to just, you know, having a quirky way of saying things as branding, but like I guess that like depending on what you're doing, it could be branding. I always forget to actually freaking click on whatever it is that I'm trying to switch to. What is this? Which version is this? Oh, the Mega version. I forgot I had Mega's version of this song on here. But like, obviously, Sibling Saturday is like in the basic definitions, I suppose, like a sort of branding thing, right? And is kind of the only one surviving because I know that Sister Saturday was the other one that I know of that existed, and anyone that knows what that's from knows freaking why that's not happening anymore. I hate to freaking, like, use this kind of inflection because it sounds like I'm laughing about it, but... Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's, like, unfortunate as to what happened. But, like, I don't know. It's just something. There's always something going on. And I really do wish that things would freaking steady out a bit, just for a little bit longer. You know? Rather than every week there's just a new freaking thing going on. Like, I mentioned this, I guess I've mentioned this a few different times to different people. And I think I even mentioned it earlier tonight, is like, why I say that, like, if my recent freaking venting topic is the worst thing that happens to me during the entirety of all this, then that's fine by me. If I don't have to deal with freaking some of the shit that has happened this year, and all I have to worry about is the fact that I have separated from a couple different people due to them trying to just climb, then fine by me. Because I would really... As much as I wish that I didn't even have to deal with that, like... I'd rather that than freaking, like, I don't know, 4 years from now find out that the entire time, like, Tebber or Crack have been talking shit or something in the background or something. Well, like, obviously they're not, at least currently, not doing anything that really rings any alarm bells as far as, like, oh, X, Y, or Z person manipulates, blah, blah, blah. But, at the very least... I mean, that's, like, the only thing that that's the only region of, like, consistency, I guess, that I've had for the past few years, I suppose. Some people come, some people go. Whether it be freaking separations due to disagreements, people just fading from the internet, freaking... people coming in because I just freshly met them, obviously. Like, there's some people that freaking... I mean, I've only recently met, but I'm very good friends with them. Like, I've known Ray for only a few months. I'd consider us very close friends. But, I mean, that's just how it goes, you know? I mean, Christ, freaking... What is it? Freaking every month there's a new graduation or something like that. And there's also debuts that happen just as frequently. things just kind of happen in whatever order that they're going to. I don't know. And then sometimes I just freaking reach a point where I'm just like, I don't know, what do we even freaking talk about, you know? Not always out of like a... Not always out of, you know, them being garbage like certain people, but like, there does genuinely reach a point where there is such a sheer difference in opinion or freaking topics that are willing to be talked about that what do we even fucking talk about, you know? Every fucking time that there's something that I would actually freaking transfer from, it's... I almost want to reorganize my playlist so I just have, like... some of these others closer to each other. Like, organize, like, by type of music, I guess. I am getting a bit hungry, so maybe after this segment of the music we'll see about finding someone to raid. Ooh, these two are like right next to each other, so this might be a bit of a longer segment. We'll play it by ear. I do want to end by 1 o'clock, or if we get to like 15 minutes before next ad, we'll probably end, like, force it end or something like that. I don't know. Today's been a notably lower energy day, but aside from freaking my crash out about, like, shit that's gone on, freaking... I have been having a decent time and, like, yapping. I just... I really did expect us to freaking have, like... our big freaking new PC. By now. Obviously, as I vented about earlier, I expected it to be months ago. But we saw how that played out, yeah. I also just kind of in general like talking about, like, you know, my entertainment region of things. when I was doing like stage stuff and whatnot, freaking however many years ago. Because even though, like, I only did stage stuff for... If we include, like, the gap caused by COVID, 4 years. If we count the gap caused by COVID, 2 years. Because I didn't run 2020. I did run 2021. It was 2022 when I did the one. What year was that? Let me check something real quick. Because it may have been 2022. Once this actually fucking loads. What the fuck, dude? Anyway, away from the distraction here. These were 2021, so those were also 2021. So yeah. That makes me wonder, did I do the one thing in 2020? I separated those because in my brain... Because we did a limited open. But that would have been the same season. I separated them because I thought that they were mutually exclusive to whatever year it was. Did they just walk out partway through that year then? I don't know. So that would mean 3 years if we don't count gap. 2 years if we do count gap? Maybe? Or is it 3 years either way? Because that was 2020. That would have been 2021, and then we're freaking... So 3 either way for stage work. Yes, because first year of stage work was for sure 2019 because I had the week away for convention. I've got it. We're fine. But yeah, I do kind of miss it, but I also, like I freaking mentioned the other day with regarding people that want to say, oh, we need to freaking treat VTubing like it's freaking it's an industry. We gotta freaking treat it like X, Y, and Z. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. You do not want to freaking run by that. I mean, we see what freaking when you actually are running by industry logic. Like, industry logic for that is we freaking are running idle type stuff, right? Like, we have the big 3D concerts and whatnot, like Hollow does and whatnot, right? And when we do that, we have to do the actual practice like that. Because they are shows. You have to do X number of months of freaking rehearsals. And then you do a freaking trial beforehand to make sure that everything's running the way that it should. And you gotta freaking... or 3 trials, depending on, like, what standards you're running. Or more. And then you do it live. And then you freaking... And when it comes to freaking, like... that, you don't really have, like, other shows. I can do it better next show. No, you freaking have your freaking... one take. When you're live. Actually, I think that they, I think they do record it in the background, and then they freaking, like, play it. Because I don't think they ever do anything that, like, requires live going. And then there's obviously the middle ground of, like, when you have something like, Bao's recent one, or, when Tricky... was it Vienna and Fillion all did their, like, 3D hole in the wall kind of deal, right? That's like a middle ground where you are, like, doing a full-on performance, but you are doing it live. But yeah. It's a interesting kind of deal. I obviously don't think that anyone that wants to do that should be shamed for it. I do think that those that go, you're going to fail exclusively unless you freaking ladder climb, and unless you freaking run industry standard, and unless you freaking... you know, unless you freaking cutthroat it like it's freaking Hollywood or some shit. Freaking... I think that those are honestly just giving themselves red flags for most everyone that's not already friends with them. And then we see that, hey, that analysis ain't too far off. So I don't know, dude. I think that um, I think that, you know, it's one of those things where people really need to understand that for your sanity, you need to keep it in moderation. Do it at your own level. Don't freaking, don't try and say, oh, well, if you don't freaking do it the way that I believe you should, you're not going to make it. I mean, like I said, the particular example I'm thinking of, freaking we saw how that played out just this, like, past week, so fucking whatever, dude. Unfortunately, it's still a rhetoric that's being spread around by other people that were vaguely involved that kind of just pseudo-separated and split and whatnot. Which, I mean, I guess that it's a bit harder, like, even if you separate yourself from a person that's a not great individual, it's a bit harder to just 180 and go, okay, maybe I was a bit wrong, maybe we don't actually have to freaking, try and slit each other's throats while we're freaking both in the sphere. Because, like, I mean, you spout that for long enough, you're gonna collect people that only want to believe that, and then to use a buzzword that a lot of people have been using in regards to certain people, you wind up becoming audience captured. And you don't want to freaking change your opinion at that point, because then you're like... I mean, obviously, if you're freaking spouting this, you are very growth-oriented and very growth-focused. You're going to see a drop if you suddenly have a shift in your ideology. When you have something that's that ingrained into your commentary. Either way. That's neither here nor there. I'm just gonna keep doing as I do. And yapping about what I find interesting. And maybe one of these days we'll get back to Deponia. We'll be doing art tomorrow. If I stream tomorrow. I think I already know who I'm going to raid into. Interesting. I'm curious on this person. This is not who I'm rating, I'm just curious. Let me... Huh. Where are you? I do want to raid the flesh creature due to birthday. I don't want these to load, I want... I don't know why I'm scrolling, I know what I'm after. Ooh. That's intimidating. Fuck it, I do want to raid into the flesh creature's birthday. Even if it is freaking... She is rocking it's a chunky number that is terrifying. I think she's front paged right now is what it is. I think she did say that she is front page on her birthday. Who is she playing with? That's Egg. Boone is one of them. Either way. Let's start yield raid. There's the socials. You can join the Discord or follow me on Blue Sky or Twitter in order to keep updated and things such as when I go live, what I'm going live with, or Art League C in the corner and we're going to be working on tomorrow. You can also go to my card if you would like to view my commission info. Commissions are temporarily on a bit of hold until I get things sorted out with until I am in an area that I feel comfortable with current new model stuff for Halloween. That's gonna be for me tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for the follows, raids, all that good jazz. I'm being driven insane by this. Because I went for longer than I thought. Love y'all. Bye.